Interesting fight coming up at women's flyweight because we have a fighter in Cynthia Calvillo just waiting, wishing, and hoping for that 2021 turn that Andrea Lee was able to get for herself, Matt. Because if we look at this one, Lee was a favorite in just about every single one of her fights, and she just really couldn't string it together. Split decision loss to Joanne, less the Calder. Now it's just Wood. She loses that fight. Then she goes up against Lauren Murphy, loses split decision. Then she fights Roxanne Modafferi, loses the unanimous decision. And then it's like, okay, we're in no man's land. Here's Antonina Shevchenko. And what does Andrea Lee do in that fight? Almost everything right. She really does. She looked very, very good in that one. And you want to talk interesting Instagram games. Andrea Lee, and when I got ready for this fight, and when I got my notes ready, I should say, she's been cross-training with so many different fighters at so many different gyms. So I didn't want to just put the gym that she trains at in Texas or the gym that she trains at in Shreveport. I put Scorpion Fighting Systems, where she spent time with none other than Miranda Maverick, getting her ready. So it's just been interesting. You really should check out Andrea Lee's Instagram because it's just a litany of training partners and very, very high-level women in competitive divisions for her. Same thing can be said for Cynthia Calvillo, Matt. I could not tell you all of the gyms she's trained at throughout her career. I know Team Alpha Male is one of them. I think Collin Oyama trained her for a number of fights. She's been at Extreme Couture for her last number. But the reason why I started this video, Matt, by saying she wants one of those 2021 turns like Andrea Lee was able to have is because Cynthia Calvillo came at the 125-pound division and blew the doors off and beat Jessica I and looked amazing in a main event. And then her last two fights, she takes on Caitlin Chukagian and loses the pop decision. And then her last time out, they went, okay, we'll give you Jessica Andrade. You're going to lose. You're going to lose that one by finish. Oh, by the way, Matt, that fight was a month and a couple of weeks ago. Your thoughts?
Okay, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I made so much money when Andrade fought Calvillo. Like, I was so confident Andrade was going to beat her. I don't know what it was, but it was, if you look at everything Calvillo does really well, it kind of relies on her opponent making a ton of mistakes for her to pull it off. Because the thing about Calvillo is she is this really great grappler. She's got phenomenal submissions, and her transition game on the ground is what makes her really high level. I remember in the Casey O'Neill Antonina Shevchenko video, we made a really big point to bring up the fact that for every martial arts sake, Antonina Shevchenko is at least like an 8 out of 10 in them. Her kickboxing is very good. Her Muay Thai is very good. Her jiu-jitsu is very good, as is her wrestling. It's just that she's not great at all the in-betweens, all the intangibles, all the kind of scrambling, and you know what I mean? Just all the ugliness that MMA kind of is. Cynthia Calvillo doesn't struggle with that at all, and that's what Andrea Lee used to beat Antonina. Like, that was the fight that made us all realize, like, oh, Antonina is good if she's in like set positions, but if she isn't a scramble, if she isn't one of those like weird half guards where it matters whose legs are on top to end up in top position, that's where she struggles. Now, Andrea Lee was able to just kind of use her MMA experience and her overall knowledge to win that fight, but I don't think this is a fight that just your veteran savvy is going to be able to get you over that hump. And the weird thing with Andrea Lee is that she was kind of the original Caitlin Chukagian of the division before Chukagian moved down from 135, because Lee moves on the back foot, throws out the jab, kind of one of those back foot strikers, if you will, not really an aggressive person to go forward a lot. But Calderwood showed that if you can cut the cage off when you're fighting Andrea Lee, it makes your life a lot easier. If you just follow her around, then yes, she will be able to get the jab off and really tee off with a lot of her volume shots. But if you can corner her and really get her locked down to one spot in the cage, Calderwood was able to use her leg kicks and her elbows to really corner her down. I think Calvillo's just going to use takedown attempts. And the weird thing about that is Calvillo's not this plus wrestler by any means, but what she is really good at is getting you up against the cage, getting you to turn your back, and then she kind of like, she does that Damian Maia, like, I take your back while we're standing up against the cage move. I just, for Calvillo, I think this is just like another warm-up. I know this seems weird, but it felt like the UFC was trying to give her a showcase fight against Andrade only a month ago, and it was like, okay, if you beat Andrade, it's like, well, you've won a main event, which doesn't happen a lot in this division. You won a 5-round contest against a former number one contender. If you could beat Andrade, then we really could have seen like Cynthia Calvillo versus Valentina Shevchenko at one point. And I feel like this is the fight to get her back on that track.
Except she got finished a month and a few weeks ago. That's the thing. And Does Andrea Lee have Jessica Andrade power? No, nobody does.
It
Jessica
wasn't a
Andrade
real
holds.
stoppage, though. This is what I'm going to say.
That's
This
it.
is what I hate. She didn't get knocked out as much as she gave up and the ref stopped it.
Well, I don't know. The ref just stopped it. She couldn't
But if you
take any
turn
more
your head
unanswered
like
shots.
she didn't
You
really
can't
get hit
take
by a
any more
clean
unanswered
shot, though,
shots.
is my thing.
So-
Like, with
so-
Calvillo, yeah.
No, it's fair. You get out volumed. Yeah, and the ref ends the fight. So again, it's not like she got flatlined, she face planted, and now she's coming back way too soon. But it still is a finish loss. Not that long ago for Andrea Lee. Again, you've got the connection with Miranda Maverick. She trained at Pound for Pound Fitness before her last fight with Tisha Torres and the gang. So it is a really interesting look for Lee with the training partners. Same thing for Calvillo at Extreme Couture. Again, a litany of training partners. Who do we want to pick, Matt? Dan Ige trains there. Who else? Kai Kamaka's a pretty good wrestler.
Your boy Justin James, we always bring him up whenever we talk about Extreme Couture.
Good wrestler when he wants to wrestle. So a lot of different people over there. Again, the volume numbers definitely support Andrea Lee in that game. But again, if you want to play the takedown game, 57% takedown defense for Lee. That's an opportunity for Calvillo to take over. Matt, the odds for this one, let me bring them up. Calvillo opened a minus 150 favorite. She's minus 120 right now. Lee opened a plus 130 underdog. She's a minus 102 or thereabouts on best fight odds. Tapology votes, let me see. 843 of them, 70% Calvillo, 89% by decision for the 30% that have Lee, 80% by decision. Here's my question for you, because I care about who you think is going to win. Do you see a finish in this fight? A. And B, I think Calvillo is the more opportune at finishing this one. So do you think Calvillo is going to be able to finish this fight if you see her winning?
So, yes, I agree with your point. If there is a finish, it will most likely be Calvillo finishing Lee. I know Lee is coming off of a finish win over Shevchenko. It was a nice submission. I don't think Andrea Lee can grapple with Cynthia Calvillo at all in this fight, though. With Calvillo, she's not the most dominant of grappler in the sense that, okay, if you're in top position, you just can't stay there. It's like hot lava. Oh, just get back up to your feet. She's not like a Brian Ortega where it's like, okay, every second on the mat, you're in danger of being submitted. But she's good at tying up your hands. She's good at wasting minutes on the ground. And what I really like about Calvillo's game is that if she is able to get the takedown, it's really draining for her opponents. Like, you can tell it saps their cardio quick, because the thing with Calvillo is she will go from full guard to half guard, try to break down your legs. She won't allow you to just go full guard and try to do that lockdown, because in that lockdown position, the bottom fighter's not wasting a lot of energy, but if the top fighter's moving around a lot, forcing them to use their guard in dynamic ways, that's going to really, really sap the fighter on bottom. So I do like Calvillo. It just really, it's based on her overall ability to grapple.
In Andrea Lee's fights in the UFC, she has a fight of the night against Veronica Macedo. Macedo took her down. She fought Ashley Evans-Smith and beat her. Smith took her down twice. She fought Montana De La Rosa. She won that fight. De La Rosa took her down 5 times. She lost to Joanne Calderwood, who took her down twice. She lost to Lauren Murphy, who took her down twice. She lost to Roxanne Modafferi, who took her down 4 times. The only fight in the UFC that Andrea Lee's ever fought in where she didn't get taken down was against Antonina Shevchenko, where she took Shevchenko down and submitted her. Calvillo will most likely take her down. It's a tough fight for me, honest to goodness. It really is. I know the fan votes, 70% Calvillo, 30% Lee. The odds are relatively close. I like Calvillo ever so slightly, but again, I've thrown out your red flags. She got finished, however you want to take it. She got finished not that long ago. So how's she going to be able to come back from that? And Andrea Lee's a fighter that's like a Swiss Army knife. She is quite good at a lot of different things. It's just, can she get back, or can she get up off her back in some of those positions? And will she have the opportunity to tee off on volume in her fight against Calvillo, which Chookagian was able to do it. We've seen that happen in the past. So I'm really interested to see that. I ever so slightly have Calvillo in this fight, though.
Last thing on this fight, I just want to ask you, I believe at women's bantamweight, it's Amanda Nunes, Tremaine Durandamy, and then everybody else. In this division, I think it's Valentina Shevchenko, Jessica Andrade, and then everybody else. Do you believe that too? Or do you think there are some contenders starting to get up into that pool?
It's like when I was walking around in, what's it called? What's the ritzy area of Toronto? Really ritzy area. People from Toronto are going to be yelling at me, and the rest of Canada is going to go, stop talking about Toronto. I'm from the East Coast. It's not like I go to Toronto all the time. But I'm walking around, and there's this SUV that pulls up, and the window goes down, and I turn to my now wife, and I go, hey, that's French Montana. She goes, who? What? I went, no, I'm dead serious. That's French Montana. So we pull him up on our phone, and as soon as I get a picture like of him up on my phone, everybody's flocking to that SUV and they're going, wow, that's French Montana. Holy crap, that's French Montana. That's just like Valentina Shevchenko in this division. Everybody's all over Shevchenko. Forget about everybody else. But Matt, like the French Montana song, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. I think Miranda Maverick's going to be one of those top 5 fighters that we have to watch out for. Coming all the way up, even though she lost to Macy Barber. But Matt, that's enough of the anecdotes. I think, Calvillo's got this one. We're both in agreement here. Both of us going with Cynthia Calvillo. What you're not going to want to miss is all the way up in the main event. Max Holloway taking on Yair Rodriguez. You're going to want to keep locked in with Fight Night picks. And as we always say,
let's get into it.